The millionaire rescues the reluctant bride in the rain. Her soft gratitude opens a door he closed long ago. The rain was falling in sheets, turning the quiet street into a blur of silver and shadows. Through the downpour, a woman in a soaked wedding gown sprinted barefoot across the asphalt, her breath breaking in sharp bursts. Every step she took left a smear of mud and desperation behind her. Headlights flashed from the corner, hunting her like a spotlight she never asked for. When her foot slipped on the slick pavement, she braced for the impact she could not avoid. But a dark SUV screeched to a halt, and a tall man jumped out, reaching her in a single decisive motion. His hands closed around her arms, steadying her before she could collapse. Her veil clung to her face. Her lips trembled. "Please do not send me back," she whispered. And for a moment, Ethan Ward, the man the world knew as a millionaire with a locked heart, could not look away. What was going to happen to them? Hello, everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Rain kept pouring as Ethan Ward guided the trembling bride toward the awning of a closed cafe. The light above them flickered, casting a faint glow across her pale face. Water streamed down the folds of her wedding dress, turning the satin heavy and cold, clinging to her like a burden she could not shake. Ethan kept his voice low, steady, careful. "You are hurt. Sit for a moment." She obeyed without protest, lowering herself onto the metal bench as if her bones could barely support her. Her fingers trembled violently, gripping the edge of the seat. Up close, Ethan saw everything the darkness had tried to hide. The bruise forming on her shoulder, the dirt smeared across her knees, the hollow fear in her eyes. She looked like someone who had been running long before she stepped into the rain. "I should go before they find me," she murmured, her voice breaking. "They cannot take me back. Not tonight. Not ever." Ethan crouched in front of her. The storm rumbled overhead, but she was listening only to the storm inside herself. "Who is chasing you?" he asked. Her gaze flicked toward the street behind him, toward the invisible threat still echoing in her footsteps. "My groom, his men, my family, everyone." The words were soft, but every syllable carried the weight of a life caged. Ethan's jaw tightened. There was something in her voice that struck a place he had buried years ago, a place lined with doors he had sworn never to open. She blinked rainwater from her lashes and looked at him as if he were the first safe thing she had seen in years. "You did not have to stop," she whispered. "I know," Ethan replied, "but you needed someone who would." A gust of wind cut through the alley, making her shiver so hard he instinctively reached for his own coat. He wrapped it around her shoulders, and she clutched it with a small, desperate sigh. In that fragile sound, something shifted, quiet, unmistakable. And that was the moment Ethan first realized she was not running from a wedding. She was running for her life. The storm did not ease. It pressed against the alley walls like a force determined to swallow everything in its path. Ethan Ward watched the trembling bride clutch his coat as if it were the last warm piece of the world still willing to hold her. The city around them roared with passing engines and distant sirens, but her fear was louder. She tried to stand, but her knees buckled. Ethan caught her before she could fall again. "You need shelter," he said. "Somewhere safe, at least for tonight." Her breath shook. "There's no safe place for me anymore." "There will be," Ethan replied. "Come with me." She hesitated, studying the man whose face she had barely seen in the blur of rain. Something in his calm presence made her trust him in a way she could not explain. She nodded, and he guided her toward the SUV. Inside, the heat began to thaw the chill locked inside her bones. She pressed her palms together and stared out the fogged window, watching the city lights smear into long, trembling streaks. Ethan drove without a word, but his eyes shifted toward her reflection in the glass. Her shoulders were slumped, her veil stuck to the side of her face, her lips pale from cold. The silence felt fragile, like it would break if either of them breathed too loudly. After several minutes, she whispered, "My name is Lena. Lena Harper." Ethan answered softly, "I am Ethan. Just Ethan. No taitas. No beath." No past dragging behind his name. She felt the gentleness in the way he said it, and for the first time since she ran, she allowed herself to breathe slightly deeper. He pulled into an underground parking garage beneath a residential tower. Lena stiffened. "I should not be here. If they see me, no one will," Ethan assured. "This building has private access. You will be safe upstairs." He led her through a quiet hallway and into a small guest apartment that smelled faintly of cedar and warm linen. It was minimalist, clean, far too polished to belong to an ordinary man, but Lena was too exhausted to question it. Ethan handed her a towel and motioned to a small bathroom. "You can change and warm up. There are clean clothes in the cabinet." She paused, her eyes searching his face. "Why are you helping me?" For a moment, something flickered behind his eyes, a memory struggling to surface. "Because," he said slowly, "you asked not to be sent back. And I heard you." Lena stepped in the bathroom. When the door clicked shut, Ethan exhaled, feeling the weight of a decision he could not take back. While she cleaned up, he placed the kettle on the stove. The soft whistle filled the silence. His gaze drifted to the small bookshelf near the window, where a silver ring rested inside a shallow dish. He picked it up, turning it between his fingers. The metal was worn smooth, the surface cooled by years of untouched memories. The bathroom door opened. Lena emerged in a simple gray sweater and pants that clung slightly to her still damp hair. Her eyes landed on the ring in his hand. "I did not know you were married," she said quietly. "I was," he answered. "A long time ago." The room seemed to pause. The storm outside softened into a hush. Lena lowered her gaze. "I am sorry." Ethan set the ring back in the dish without a word. She moved closer to the window, watching the rain streak down the glass. "They will come for me again," she whispered. "Adrian will not stop until I am back in that dress." Ethan stepped beside her, his reflection aligning with hers in the glass. "Then I will not let them find you." Her breath caught, fragile, but full of something new. Hope, maybe, or the memory of it. But the night was far from over, and danger was not done looking for her. Lena Harper barely slept. Every time her eyes drifted shut, she saw the wedding hall, the contract on the table, the cold pressure of Adrian Doyle's hand around her wrist. Even wrapped in Ethan Ward's coat, she felt the echo of fear clinging to her like another layer of wet silk. She stepped quietly into the small living area. Ethan was seated on the couch, leaning forward with his hands clasped, the faint glow from the city painting lines of shadow across his sharp features. He looked as though he had not slept either. When he noticed her, he rose instantly. "You should rest," he said. "I cannot," Lena replied. "They will search every corner of the city." "They will not find you here," Ethan said. "Not without going through me first." The certainty in his voice startled her. He sounded like a man who had spent years protecting things he could not save. She swallowed hard and took a seat at the far end of the couch. The space between them was small, but it held more tension than the storm outside. After a moment, she whispered, "Ethan, if they find me, they will drag me back to that ceremony. They will force me to sign the contract. My mother will not fight them. She believes this marriage will fix everything." "Will it?" Ethan asked. Lena shook her head. "It will destroy me." Ethan's jaw tightened. He stood and walked toward the small kitchen, giving himself a moment to breathe before returning with 2 mugs of warm tea. Lena accepted hers with both hands, letting the heat seep in her trembling fingers. There was silence, but it was not empty. It felt like a space where truth might finally take shape. "Lena," he said, his voice low, "what made you run tonight? What was the moment that pushed you over the edge?" She stared into the steam rising from her cup. When the ceremony music started, she said softly, "I realized I could no longer pretend." I looked at Adrian, and he looked at me like I was an item he had already purchased. A possession, not a bride, not a woman. And my mother, she begged me not to embarrass the family. That was the moment I knew I had to save myself. Ethan listened closely, every word etching deeper into the places he tried to keep guarded. You did save yourself, he said. You ran. You chose freedom. But now I'm trapped again, she whispered. No, Ethan said firmly. Not while you are here. Before she could answer, a sudden vibration rattled the coffee table. Ethan's phone lit up with a string of urgent messages. His expression hardened. He picked up the phone, read quickly, and set it down with a sharp exhale. Lena's breath caught. Is it them? Ethan nodded. Adrian Doyle reported you missing. His men searched the neighborhood where I found you. They're expanding their radius. And he paused, tension gathering in his shoulders. They identified my SUV from nearby cameras. Fear flickered across Lena's face. Ethan, I never wanted to pull you into this. You did not pull me, he said. I stepped in. He walked to the window and looked down at the street, scanning each passing vehicle. Lena rose slowly and approached him, drawn by something she did not dare name. Ethan, what will you do now? He turned to her, and for the first time, his guarded composure cracked. I will protect you, he said, but there is something you need to know about me. Something I have not told you. Lena's breath halted. Ethan stepped closer, the stormlight framing him like a man standing between his past and his fate. And in that moment, Lena realized the truth was coming, a truth that would change everything she believed about the man who saved her. Ethan Ward stood by the window, the stormlight flickering across his face as if the night itself was trying to unmask him. Lena Harper waited behind him, her breath unsteady, her fingers tightening around the fabric of his coat draped over her shoulders. She felt the tension inside him as clearly as the thunder rolling above the city. He turned slowly. There is something I must tell you, he said. His voice carried a weight she did not understand, but it made her heart tighten all the same. You saved me, Lena whispered. Whatever it is, I can handle it. Ethan studied her carefully, as if searching for a sign that she would not run again. Then he stepped closer, close enough that she could see the rain still clinging to the edges of his hair. Lena, he said quietly, I am not who you think I am. She froze. I know, she replied. You said your name is Ethan, but clearly you are more than that. He exhaled, a slow surrender to a truth he did not want to reveal too soon. I run a company, he said. A large one, and the Doyle Corporation has been in conflict with us for years. Adrian has reasons to see me as an enemy. Her pulse stumbled. So, you helped me because you wanted leverage against him? No, Ethan said instantly. I helped you because you were terrified and alone. I helped you because someone should have helped you long before I arrived. The conviction in his voice softened her fear, but the shock remained. She took a step back. Why did you not tell me earlier? Because, Ethan said, I did not want to be another powerful man who decided your fate. I wanted you to feel safe without wondering what I wanted in return. Lena pressed her hand against her forehead. The living room blurred for a moment. Ethan, if they saw your SUV near the church, they will assume something happened between you and me. I know, he said, and that means Adrian will escalate. He will twist every narrative he can. A sudden pounding echoed through the apartment. Lena's breath hitched. Ethan moved instantly, placing himself between her and the door. But it was only Marcus, his head of security, arriving through the private entrance Ethan granted him. Sir, Marcus said urgently, your building's external cameras picked up 2 cars that matched Doyle's security. They circled the block twice. Fear widened Lena's eyes. Ethan faced her, calm but deeply resolved. They're getting closer. We need to move. Lena shook her head. Move? To where? Ethan, I have nowhere left to go. Yes, you do, he said. You will stay in one of my private safe units. Only 3 people know they exist. The idea overwhelmed her. You would do that? For me? Ethan held her gaze. I will not let them take you. I will not watch another life get crushed by Adrian Doyle. His voice cracked faintly at the end. A fracture. A memory. Something broken long before tonight. Lena stepped closer. What happened to you, Ethan? What did they do? Ethan's eyes darkened, but he did not answer. Tonight is about keeping you safe. My past can wait. Marcus cleared his throat. Sir, the vehicles are circling again. Ethan nodded once. Get the car. We leave through the basement. Lena touched Ethan's sleeve. Ethan, whatever your secret is, I am not afraid of you. His eyes softened, but he looked away quickly, as if afraid of what she might see in him. Let us get you to safety first, he said. Then the truth will come. As they moved toward the hidden elevator, the storm outside rose again, as if warning them that once they stepped into the night, nothing in their lives would ever return to the way it was. The service elevator hummed softly as it descended, its dim emergency lights casting a pale glow across the narrow walls. Lena Harper stood close to Ethan Ward, the weight of everything pressing hard against her ribs. Ethan kept his posture steady, but she sensed the tension running through him like an electric current. Marcus, standing by the panel, whispered, "We will exit into the basement loading dock. The car is waiting. No one followed us down." Lena clasped her hands together, trying to control her breathing. She could feel the familiar panic rising, the same panic that had pushed her to run from the church steps. But then she looked at Ethan. His presence grounded her, as if the storm outside could not reach her as long as he remained near. When the elevator stopped, Marcus stepped out first. He scanned the dark concrete corridor. All clear. Move quickly. Ethan placed a reassuring hand on Lena's back and guided her forward. The chill of the basement seeped into her skin, but his touch steadied her. They reached the black sedan positioned beneath a single overhead lamp. Marcus opened a rear door, motioning for Lena to get inside. But the moment she stepped toward the car, a vehicle engine echoed from the far end of the basement. A sleek gray car rolled into view, its headlights flashing once. Before the doors opened, Lena froze. Ethan immediately pulled her behind him. Two men stepped out, broad shoulders, sharp suits, the unmistakable tension of men sent with a purpose. Marcus swore under his breath. Doyle's security. One of the men called out, "Ethan Ward. Hand over Miss Harper. She is coming with us." Lena trembled. Ethan did not move. "She is not going anywhere with you," he said. "This is not your matter," the man replied. "She is promised to Mr. Doyle. Her family has agreed." "That agreement is unlawful," Ethan said, "and she's under my protection." The men took a step closer. Lena clung to Ethan's coat like an anchor. Marcus whispered urgently, "Sir, we cannot engage here." Ethan nodded once, then spoke clearly, every word a shield around Lena. "She does not belong to your employer. She is a human being with the right to choose her future." The men ignored his words and advanced. Ethan tightened his grip on Lena and moved swiftly toward the sedan. Marcus threw open the far door. "Get in now." Lena slipped inside. Ethan followed, slamming the door shut as Marcus dove into the driver's seat. The car shot forward just as the Doyle security vehicle lurched after them. The basement echoed with the roar of engines. Lena gripped the seat, her heart pounding against her ribs. "Ethan, they will catch us." "No," he said, voice steady. "Not tonight." Marcus navigated the narrow exit ramp with sharp precision. Their pursuers accelerated behind them, tires screeching across the concrete. The moment they burst into the open night, the rain returned in violent sheets. The city blurred around them as Marcus weaved through intersections, using every turn to shake the trailing car. Lena clutched the seatbelt, her breath shallow. "Why will they not stop?" she whispered. "Because Adrian does not lose," Ethan said, "and he thinks you are something he owns." Lena shut her eyes, tears mixing with fear. "I'm so sorry, Ethan. I never meant to bring danger to you." Ethan turned toward her, the stormlight carving shadows around his determined expression. "You did not bring this danger. They did, and I will not let them take you." His voice was calm, unyielding, almost aching. At last, Marcus swerved into a private garage beneath another building. The gate closed behind them just as the pursuing car sped past the entrance. Silence consumed the space. Lena collapsed slightly forward, overwhelmed. Ethan reached out, steadying her shoulders. "You are safe," he said softly. "But this is only the beginning. Tomorrow, everything will change." Lena lifted her gaze to him. "What do you mean?" Ethan hesitated, the truth rising to the surface at last. "My past," he said quietly, and why the Doyle family fears me. Her breath caught. The next moment would open a door Ethan had kept locked for years. The garage fell into a trembling silence once the metal gate sealed shut. Rain hammered the street above like a relentless drumbeat, but inside the dim underground chamber, it felt as if time itself had paused. Lena Harper leaned against the cool metal of the car, her breath shallow and uneven. Ethan Ward stepped out beside her, his expression sharpened by the tension still clinging to him. Marcus scanned the perimeter with practiced caution, but Ethan's focus was entirely on Lena. "You are safe," he repeated softly, as if trying to convince both of them. Lena nodded, but her voice trembled. "Ethan, I saw how those men looked at you. They fear you." "What?" Ethan turned away for a moment. His hands slid into his pockets, his shoulders tightening under the weight of something old and heavy. "There are things about my past that I have not told you," he said. "Things that relate to Adrian Doyle and the way his family conducts their business." Lena took a hesitant step toward him. "You said his family destroyed lives before. Is that why you reacted so strongly when I told you about the wedding?" Ethan did not answer immediately. Instead, he walked toward a small maintenance bench at the side of the garage. On top of it sat a metal lockbox. He opened it with a key he kept on his chain, revealing documents, photographs, and a silver ring identical to the one Lena had seen earlier. When he lifted the ring, his fingers trembled. "This belonged to Leah," he said quietly. "My fiancée." Lena's heart dropped. "She passed away." Ethan nodded slowly, eyes fixed on the ring rather than on the pain it represented. "She died 6 years ago. Not in an accident, but in what the police called a structural failure at a Doyle construction site. A railing collapsed during a charity event. She fell before I could reach her." The storm outside groaned, as if echoing the memory. Lena covered her mouth, grief tightening her chest. "Ethan, I am so sorry." He looked at her now, his eyes raw in a way she had not seen before. Her death was not random. She tried to expose illegal practices in the Doyle Corporation. She found documents, proof of labor exploitation, falsified permits, and financial coercion. They threatened her. She refused to stop. Lena felt a chill creep down her spine. And when she died, they walked away untouched. Ethan closed the lockbox, his jaw hardening. "I spent years trying to prove their involvement. Every lead disappeared. Every witness recanted. The Doyle family buried the truth, and with it, any chance for justice." The silence grew dense. "But why tell me this now?" Lena asked softly. "Because," Ethan said, stepping closer, "Adrian Doyle believes he has the right to take what he wants. He did it to Leah through intimidation, and he is doing it to you with this forced marriage. I will not stand by a second time." Lena's eyes glistened with fear, sorrow, and something deeper. "You think what happened to Leah is happening again?" "I know it," Ethan replied. "Adrian does not want a wife. He wants control. Over your family. Over the land deal your mother signed without reading. Over everything he can manipulate." Lena's knees weakened. Ethan caught her before she slipped, his hands firm on her shoulders. "You are not alone in this," he said. "But you must trust me." "Ido," Lena whispered. I never imagined my life would collide with yours like this." Ethan held her gaze, his voice lowering to a fragile truth. "Neither did I." A distant engine rumbled outside the garage. The moment shattered. Marcus turned sharply. "Sir, someone is coming." Ethan stepped in front of Lena again, his eyes dark with the calm determination of a man ready to face whatever storm approached. And Lena understood. Whatever waited outside that metal gate would not stop until the truth Ethan carried finally came to light. The unfamiliar engine noise grew louder outside the garage, its echo bouncing off the concrete until it sounded as if the entire underground space were vibrating. Lena Harper instinctively stepped closer to Ethan Ward, her pulse climbing with every passing second. Marcus lifted a hand, signaling them to stay behind the sedan. "Lights off," he whispered. "Do not move unless I tell you." The garage dimmed to near darkness. Only the thin orange glow from an exterior street lamp filtered through the slats of the gate, casting fractured shadows across the floor. Lena pressed her back to the cool metal of the car, trying to steady her breath. Ethan's hand gently covered hers, grounding her with the quiet strength she had come to rely on. "They have not breached the gate," he murmured. "Stay with me." The approaching vehicle came to a stop just beyond the metal fencing. For a moment, nothing happened. Rain hammered the pavement outside, blurring the outlines of the figures stepping out of the car. Then a voice rang out, low and sharp. "Ethan Ward, we know you are inside." Lena's stomach clenched. It was one of Adrian Doyle's men. Marcus moved silently toward the gate, staying in the shadows. The man outside continued, "Mr. Doyle is willing to overlook tonight's incident if you hand over Miss Harper. There's no need to escalate things." Ethan stepped forward, placing himself between Lena and the gate, even though the men outside could not see through the slats. His voice was steady, almost unnervingly calm. "Lena Harper is not going anywhere, and you have no authority to demand her return." A beat of silence followed. Then the man spoke again, darker, colder. "Mr. Ward, refusing us will place you in direct conflict with the Doyle family. You know what that means. You have tasted it before." The words hit Ethan like a physical blow. Lena saw the muscle in his jaw tense, saw how the memory of Leah's death flickered painfully across his expression. She reached for his arm. "Ethan, do not let them provoke you," she whispered. "They want you angry. They want you reckless." His eyes softened just enough to meet hers. "I'm not angry," he said. "I'm simply done letting them destroy lives." Outside, the men shifted tactics. "Think carefully, Ethan Ward. Leah's fate was a tragedy. We would hate to see history repeat itself." The air inside the garage snapped taut. Lena felt Ethan's hand tremble for the first time. The cruelty of the words struck him like a reopened wound. She stepped in front of him before he could respond. "No," Lena said quietly. "Do not give them the reaction they want." Her voice, though soft, carried an unbreakable resolve. "This is not your fault, Ethan. What happened to Leah was because of them, not because of you." His eyes locked onto hers, the storm of guilt and grief flickering beneath the surface. The way he looked at her held a fragile vulnerability she had never seen in him before. Outside, impatience grew. "We will return with a warrant and the proper authorities. You cannot hide her forever." Their footsteps retreated toward the car. The engine roared back to life, and the vehicle disappeared into the night. The garage went silent again. Lena exhaled shakily. Ethan reached up, brushing a strand of wet hair from her cheek. "You should not have stepped in front of me like that," he whispered. "You would have done the same for me," she replied. He did not deny it. Marcus returned from the shadows. "They will not be gone for long. We need a new location before sunrise." Ethan nodded, but his gaze remained on Lena. "They will come back stronger. Adrian will not stop. Not until he controls the narrative and her." Lena swallowed hard. "Ethan, what are we going to do?" He drew a steady breath. "We're going to fight back. But first, there is something I must show you. Something that proves exactly how far the Doyle family is willing to go." His voice carried the weight of a truth long buried. Lena realized the moment she had feared and awaited in equal measure was finally approaching. The reveal was coming. Ethan Ward did not speak again until the elevator doors slid shut behind them, sealing away the echo of the confrontation that had just shaken the underground garage. Rain-stained shadows clung to Lena Harper's features as she watched him. His posture was calm, but the set of his jaw revealed how deeply the Doyle men's words had cut. When the elevator reached the restricted floor, Ethan stepped out first and motioned for Lena to follow. The corridor was silent, dimly lit, and lined with reinforced doors that looked nothing like the polished hallways of his main residence. Lena hesitated. "Where are we?" "A secure archive," Ethan said. "Only 2 people besides me have ever been here." He keyed in a code, then scanned his fingerprint. The door released with a soft click and swung open to a room filled with file cabinets, digital monitors, and a long metal table. It felt more like an investigative command center than a safe house. Ethan walked straight to a drawer and pulled out a thick folder. He placed it gently on the table before looking at Lena. "This," he said, "is the truth I could not bury, even when they wanted me to." Lena approached with careful steps. She sensed the heaviness in the air, as though the walls themselves had witnessed years of pain. Ethan opened the folder. Inside were photographs, incident reports, construction records, and safety audits with bold red stamps across the top. Many said the same word, violation. He placed his hand on one of the documents. Leah found these. She was volunteering at the charity site that morning. She discovered that the Doyle Corporation had falsified several inspections. She confronted one of the supervisors. She threatened to report it. Lena stared at the images of corroded railings, cracked beams, and email transcripts containing thinly veiled threats. She knew the structure was unsafe. Lena whispered. Yes, Ethan said. She warned them. They dismissed her as a naive humanitarian. And when the platform failed, he paused, steadying his voice. They called it an unpredictable accident. But Leah's notes show she predicted the exact place where the collapse happened. Lena placed a hand over her mouth. The cruelty of it pressed into her chest like a stone. They covered everything, Ethan continued. Witnesses were paid off. The investigator assigned to the case was promoted weeks later, and the Doyle name stayed clean while Leah never returned home. Lena closed her eyes, feeling his grief roll through the room like a silent storm. And tonight, Ethan said, they used her name again to threaten me. Lena's eyes opened with a fierce clarity. They do not deserve to speak her name. Ethan's gaze softened, a brief fracture in his normally composed exterior. You understand now why I cannot let them control you, he said. Why I reacted the way I did. Adrian Doyle believes he can take anything he wants. He believes he can purchase silence. He believes your life belongs to him. Lena stepped closer, her voice trembling but unwavering. My life is not his, and it never will be. Ethan searched her face, as if making sure she truly meant it. There is more, he said. Something connected to your family's debt. He reached into the folder again and pulled out a contract. Lena recognized the letterhead instantly. Her mother's signature was at the bottom, but the numbers were altered, inflated beyond anything she remembered. What is this? She breathed. A coercive loan, Ethan said. Your mother signed it believing she was agreeing to a small property lien. The Doyle Corporation swapped the contract pages after she left. This debt is manufactured to trap you into marriage. Lena felt her knees weaken. All of this, she said, was planned. Yes, Ethan replied. You were never meant to be a bride. You were meant to be leverage. Her eyes glossed with tears. Ethan, what do we do now? He closed the folder with a decisive motion. We expose them, he said, but not alone. Tomorrow, I will take you somewhere safe, somewhere they cannot reach you, and somewhere I can prepare everything we need. Lena met his gaze, seeing both determination and vulnerability within it. And until then, she asked. Ethan stepped closer, his voice low, steady, and resolute. Until then, I stay with you. I protect you. And I promise you this. What happened to Leah will not happen to you. Outside, thunder rolled again, but inside the archive room, something steadier took root, a shared resolve strong enough to face the storm that waited beyond the door. Dawn crept into the sky, washing the storm clouds in pale silver. The city below was quiet, almost holding its breath. Inside the secure archive room, Lena Harper closed the folder of evidence that had shattered the last illusion she once had about Adrian Doyle and the debt that bound her life. Ethan Ward watched her, not with pity, but with a deep, steady respect. You are stronger than you know, Lena, he said. Most people would have broken under what they did to you. You did not. She drew in a slow breath. I did break, Ethan. I broke the moment I stood at the altar and realized everyone I trusted had abandoned me. You ran, Ethan replied. You saved yourself. That is strength. The room fell quiet. Outside, the first true rays of morning pushed through the clouds, stretching across the metal table where the evidence lay like a battlefield of truth. Marcus entered, a tablet in hand. Sir, he said, the legal team has reviewed the documents. They confirmed the loan swap was intentional. We have proof of signature manipulation and internal messages between Doyle executives. If we release this, they will not withstand the fallout. Ethan nodded once, resolute. Prepare everything. We go public. Lena looked up sharply. Ethan, if you do this, Adrian will come after you harder than before. He already has, Ethan said. The only difference now is that this time, I am not standing alone. Lena felt her heart tighten. She stepped toward him. Then I stand with you. He held her gaze, searching for any trace of hesitation. There was none. Moments later, they rode the elevator up to a private rooftop hidden above the city. The storm had washed the air clean, leaving the morning cool and quiet. The skyline stretched endlessly, a horizon of possibility shaped by sunlight. Ethan handed Marcus the final instructions. When I give the signal, release everything to the press and the authorities. No delays. Marcus nodded and stepped back, granting them privacy. Lena approached the railing, her fingers brushing the cold metal. Ethan, she said softly, what happens now? When the world knows what they did? What happens, Ethan answered, stepping beside her, is justice. Real justice. The kind Leah never received. Lena touched the ring he kept in his pocket, feeling its shape through the fabric. The weight of its history pulled her closer to understanding the man beside her. Ethan, she said, I am not Leah, and I can never replace what you lost. I know, Ethan said. His voice was gentle, steady, certain, and I'm not asking you to replace her. I'm asking you to walk forward with me, not into the past, into what comes next. Her breath caught. What comes next? Ethan reached into his coat and, for the first time, placed the silver ring in her hand, not as a memory, but as a symbol of the door he had finally allowed himself to open. What comes next is a life you choose, he said, not one chosen for you. Lena looked down at the ring, then up at his face. She saw the man who pulled her out of the rain, the man who refused to let fear dictate their fate, the man who stood between her and the world without ever demanding anything in return. She closed her fingers around the ring. I choose this, she whispered. I choose us. Ethan exhaled a breath. Years in the making. He signaled to Marcus. The files went out. The truth erupted across every major network. And somewhere in a gleaming tower, Adrian Doyle felt the collapse of everything he once controlled. But on the quiet rooftop, none of that noise mattered. Ethan took Lena's hands in his. For the first time in years, he said, I am not standing in the storm. I am standing in the light. Because of you. Lena stepped closer, her voice a soft promise. And for the first time in my life, I am not running. Because of you. The sun broke fully over the horizon, bathing them both in gold. And just like that, the door Ethan had closed long ago finally opened.